Apocinaceae. They are from the family of Apocinaceae. Hi guys, I'm Dennis. Welcome to my channel Guy with a Plant. In today's episode, I'm going to show you my Hoya collection, as well as to briefly talk about their care requirements. So if you're enjoying this kind of contents, I hope you can tune in and also to subscribe to my channel. Just a brief introduction into the world of Hoya plants. They are from the family of Apocinaceae, and of course the genus is Hoya. They are commonly known as the wax plants or wax flowers because they produce small flowers which are really wax-like. There are a few hundreds of species and cultivars of Hoyas, and they are native to Asian countries and Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, as well as places like New Guinea and Australia. Hoyas are epiphytic plants, so meaning they grow by climbing up another plant or on the trunk of a tree. And in the tropical rainforest setting, the Hoya plants get rained on very frequently, but without its roots getting submerged in water all the time. So this will tell you a little bit on its care requirements when it comes to watering as well as the potting medium. As most species of Hoyas grow underneath the canopies of tropical rainforests, it is important to give it bright light but very filtered, very diffused, and definitely not under the bright afternoon sun. One of the critical factors when it comes to the success of keeping Hoyas is watering. It is very important not to overwater them because they like to dry out in between waterings. So ensure that the potting medium is one that dries out really easily. Of course, there are always exceptions. For example, the fishtail Hoya, which likes to be on the moist side, as well as the Hoya bella. And also there is the multiflora, which essentially is a terrestrial plant compared to its epiphytic cousins. Okay, going hand in hand with watering is your choice of potting medium. You have to choose something that is really very loose, very airy and very gritty, so that even if you overwater the Hoya, it will not be fatal because then the potting medium will dry out really quickly. So for potting medium, I use a mixture of 1/3 of cocoa peat, 1/3 of something that is going to aerate your mixture, which is perlite and pumice, and then lastly I'll use something that is really bulky, maybe like orchid bark, and maybe I'll throw in some horticultural charcoal if I have that on hand. That will help with the bacteria issues. I think I've said this many times on my channel, my humidity levels here is not the best. In fact, is very irregular. Yeah, but my Hoyas are doing pretty okay, so I would say that it is not critical to have very high humidity levels, but of course, being tropical plants, they would appreciate it if you can give it slightly higher levels of humidity, so maybe at least 40 to 50%. So I don't have any pest issues except for mini bugs, which I think is really common in Hoyas. But luckily they are really easy to manage. So what I do is either I use a very strong water jet and wash them away, or I just use a cotton bud with some alcohol, and I'll just remove them manually. You can propagate Hoyas really easily by stem cuttings. So you just cut them in between the nodes and put them in water in perlite or sphagnum moss. And they should root really very easily. In my experience, water propagation is the easiest because you don't have to worry about the perlite or the sphagnum moss drying out. And yeah, it roots pretty quickly anywhere along the stem. So that's the basic care requirements of Hoya. So now let's look at some plants. The first Hoya I'm going to show you is this very full pot of Hoya Sigilatis. As you can see, it makes a very nice trailing plant with all its tendrils coming down and the way it's growing. So this is a pretty big specimen. So I'm really drawn to its elongated leaves, the green leaves with silvery specks, and also when the young leaves just come out, they are burgundy in color. But of course they'll turn green as the leaves mature. This Hoya gets plenty of bright light because it hangs outside the ledge of a balcony, but it is shielded by this glass panel so it doesn't get any direct sun rays hitting on the leaves, and I think it appreciates it. Also, these species tend to prefer their potting medium to be a little bit moist, but of course not sogging wet, and it doesn't like to dry out that much. This Hoya is not in bloom yet, so I'm going to put a photo here to show you how the flower will look like. Yeah, in fact all my Hoyas are not flowering. Don't know why. Must be a lousy Hoya parent. Okay, the next Hoya I'm going to show you is this Hoya Helix Splash. When I first got this Hoya about 13 months ago, November last year, it was only a 2-leaf cutting, these two, and the leaves were darker in color, darker green compared to now. I think since I left it outside the balcony where it gets plenty of light, it seems to have lightened in coloration, and even the newer leaves are lighter. And the newer ones, the really baby leaves, seems to have lesser silvery splash. Let me know if you have any experience with this. Does it need more light for the splashy Hoyas? Yeah, I really like this, and I think it needs to go up a trellis because the leaves are getting smaller. When I first got it, the cutting came in this sandwich with this 2 cocoa chips, and the roots have just grown onto it, and so I was unable to repot it properly. I just stuck it into this pot with some loose potting medium, and it seems to do the trick. But yeah, I guess I have to repot this again with trellis. Alright, next, this is my struggling Hoya. I've struggled with this Hoya for the last 1 year. When I first got this, it was, I think it had at least 10 leaves, really pretty lush, and I was really drawn to this Hoya because of the contrasting veins on the leaves, which are so attractive. Yeah, oh yeah, this is, okay, this is Hoya calistophylla. Right, I think I need to change the potting medium because there is some issues with watering this. Every time I water this, the leaves will turn yellow overnight. I don't know why. Maybe because it's root rot. And I must say I've neglected it initially because I tend to underwater this. And then when I rehydrate it, I suppose you know, some of the roots probably would have rotted. So yeah, it's a vicious cycle, and it also experienced some bacterial infection. There'll be yellow spots, yellow brown spots on the leaves, and then the leaf will turn yellow and they will drop off. Yeah, and look at this. This is happening. I'm not sure whether is it due to watering, overwatering, or is it a bacterial issue, but I see some black spots on it. Yeah, so what I'm going to do after this, I'm going to just check on the roots finally, and then probably propagate these two. Yeah, the vine looks really dry, so I'm very sure there's something wrong with this. Okay, I will propagate this and I'll keep you guys updated. Yeah, no flowers, so take a look at the photo. I don't even have leaves for this. Okay, this Hoya is definitely one of my favorite Hoyas. I know I say that of all Hoyas, but this is really nice. This is the Hoya Croniana Super Silver. So there's a green variety, and this one is with silvery leaves, and then you get patches of green, so it's really very nice. When I first got it 6 months ago, it was a pretty full pot, but the two vines are about this length, so it has grown about this portion over 6 months. Not the fastest grower, but I think these are long enough for me to propagate. I can just snip them off here into smaller pieces and try to propagate them in sphagnum moss or perlite. Yeah, just probably stem cuttings, not stem cuttings, leaf cuttings with a little bit of note. They should be able to root out. This one I'll let it dry out, so I do not overwater it. I water this about every 10 days. I've not changed the potting medium yet. Yeah, I can feel that it's really well draining. I love to see its flowers, but meanwhile this is a photo how it may look like. Yeah, I've also read that you can stress the Hoya by withholding water for a long time, and then when you rehydrate it, it may bloom due to stress. But I'm not going to do that. I do not want to stress my Hoya. I'm perfectly fine without flowers. So if it blooms, it blooms. This was in a much lower light conditions. I've decided to move it to the window where it has some very bright light, and I'm not sure whether is that a good decision, because the newer leaves seems to be very light in color. Well, maybe they are just new. This is the Hoya Sun Rice, and I have been abusing this for the longest time. I think I've been underwatering this because it's out there in the super hot sun, and yeah, I'm not watering it enough. So as you can see, the leaves are really very faded. I think it's too much sun for it, but it used to be able to be sun stressed and then give out this really beautiful red leaves. This hasn't been looking well for a long time now. I'm not sure how to make it better. Maybe I should repot this, and also to get some cuttings out of it as an insurance. But I'm happy to say that this is the only Hoya that has bloomed for me. I shall put a clip here to show you the flowers. They're really lovely, nice soft pink flowers. The next Hoya I'm going to show you is over there on the plant shelf. No, not this one, this one. Okay, this one, this is the Hoya Memorial. Look at how long it has grown. When I first got it almost 1.5 years ago, it was only this length. There were only about 2-3 vines. And look at this now. This is really growing very well. Its dark green leaves have silver splashes as well. But there was once I left it under the direct sun, stupid of me, and I burned a lot of the leaves. So this is the aftermath of that. They never recover. So you'll see some lighter colored leaves. That's from the sunburn. But the newer leaves are darker in color and looking really, really good. Since it has been growing so well, I thought this may be the first Hoya to flower for me. But unfortunately, I don't have many flowers till now. I hope to see some. Not sure whether is this the start of a peduncle. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Please flower for me. Okay, I shall not attempt to remove this Hoya from the plant shelf. It's hanging over here. This is the Hoya Archbodienna, and I specifically sought this out because of its flowers. The flowers are really very interesting and big, but unfortunately it hasn't flowered for me yet. In fact, I lost many of the leaves, and this is one of the original leaves. I think there was some bacterial infection and the leaves got, attacked. But currently it has given me this very long vine that's growing up the wire and all the way up here to this Syngonium chirpans. Can you see? So I'm just hoping this will recover, but I'm so happy to see some new growth here. And yeah, some new leaves. So this is a cutting of the Hoya Archbodienna. When I first got the mother plant, one of the vines broke off, so I propagated it in water and then potted this up. It has given me 3 leaves. I mean, originally there was only 1 leaf, so given me two more leaves. But as you can see, the colors are much lighter compared to the original plant, because I had it out in the balcony, so it doesn't like too much light. Okay, the last Hoya I'm going to show you is this Hoya Macrophylla, which is the one that actually got me into this hobby of collecting Hoyas, because I love the succulent chunky leaves with this, what I call the peanut shell texture on the leaves. And yeah, this is the variegated variety, the elbow marginata. I have another one which is also a variegated version, but that is called the pot of gold, where the variegation is in the middle. This one, the variegation is along the edges of the leaf. And recently I've given it brighter light, and it seems to be giving me this pink edgings, which is really cool. Yeah, I've gotten some cuttings out of this that is currently propagating in water. Okay, this is the pot of gold variety. This is also the Hoya Macrophylla, where the variegation is in the middle of the leaves. And look at this new leaf, so beautiful. But recently I lost quite a few leaves after I watered it, so they just turn yellow overnight and drop off. I'm not sure whether is it due to irregular watering. I tend to underwater this, but I suspect this needs to be watered more frequently compared to other Hoyas. I'm still experimenting with the watering part. It's always an issue, but I think I may have finally get the hang of it. Thank you for watching this episode. I hope you have found the information useful and have enjoyed the contents. If you do, consider subscribing to my channel. And meanwhile, Happy New Year everyone, Happy 2022. And remember to show your plants some love.